Hello, and welcome to R&R's Ask the Expert. I'm your host, Valerie King, R&R's editor-in-chief, and I am joined today by four very special guests for a very special episode. Now, you may be familiar with R&R's annual Ladder Award, which honors outstanding young restoration professionals 35 years and younger who are climbing the ladder of success and shaping the future of this industry. These individuals exhibit leadership, drive, innovation, care for clients and colleagues, community service, and a clear passion for the industry, among many other things. Today, we have a prestigious panel of Ladder Award finalists from 2020 and this year, 2021, which I consider, of course, the best of the best. And they're going to be sharing innovative ways they're helping advance the restoration industry, as well as their vision for its future. And I'll be moderating. Now, we held this roundtable in person during the Experience Convention and Trade Show in Vegas back in September, and we received such great interest and feedback, unsurprisingly, that we wanted to make sure everyone had the opportunity to watch or listen. So here we are, recreating it virtually. For a little bit of context, which is probably obvious to many of you watching or listening, millennials are now the largest generation in the labor force at over 56 million. So as there is a renewed push in favor of skilled trades, construction included, this is an important conversation to have. When you think about the struggle to attract new talent, the mandate to ensure a workforce lives on once baby boomers retire, and the importance of adopting new technology, there is no better time than now to celebrate and learn from these rising young professionals who are blazing new trails. They definitely provide great answers to those important issues and so many more. Now, without further ado, let's get started and have our panelists introduce themselves. But first, I want to share an overview of their respective Ladder Award program relationships. Now, Nicole Humber is the 2020 Ladder Award winner. Andrea Stenberg is the 2021 winner. Tiffany Meece is the 2021 first runner-up. And Cameron Denommee is the 2021 second runner-up. So we will start with Nicole. Nicole, take it away and intro yourself for us, please.
Well, hello, everybody. I am Nicole Humber. I'm the CEO of Bravo Restoration and Construction. I've been the CEO for 5 years, but I have been in this industry since I was 18, so about 14 years. I love what I do. I've literally done every single position in this company, except for technician as much. I've definitely delivered equipment in crawl-to-crawl space, but I haven't had to do that role very often. And I'm looking forward to talking to the panel again.
Thanks, Nicole. Cam?
Hi, my name is Cam Denommee. I've also been in the industry since I was 18 years old. I'm Director of Operations for Service Master by Gilmore, based in Boston, Mass. Pretty much done everything in regards to operations, from being a technician to my role today, which is Director of Operations.
Thank you. Andrea?
I am Andrea, and I work for Paul Davis Restoration in Portland and Vancouver. So that's the Northwest area of the world. But I've been in restoration since 2014, but in industrial cleaning since I was 18 years old. I run production crews in-house, and I also assist in the management of crews out in the field. And I also participate in our safety committee and our training program.
Awesome. Last but not least, Tiffany.
Hi, I'm Tiffany Meece. I'm 35 years old. I'm the Director of Commercial Marketing for First Onsite out of the Gulf Coast region. I live in Pensacola, Florida. This was my first job right out of college. I had no idea what a general contractor was, and here I am all these years later. I do commercial sales, account management, and the verticals I'm responsible for are colleges, school districts, healthcare, government, and property management companies.
Thank you, Tiffany. All right, let's start with the idea of grit and being go-getters, which you all share. Nicole, in 2016, early in your career and without past business ownership, you purchased a restoration company that was hemorrhaging and took it from barely surviving to thriving. So what was that like? What was your recipe to building such a healthy business?
I guess it would be mostly that I didn't want to. I had a lot of naysayers who said I couldn't do it, and what the heck was I thinking in buying it? It was, like you mentioned, it was hemorrhaging. And so I had no idea what I was doing. And I was just motivated by the idea of, one, saving my coworkers' jobs, because, I just we worked so hard together, and I didn't want them to lose their jobs. And then also just the pride of being a young woman who did not grow up, like my father didn't give it to me. My husband doesn't work in the company. I literally had to do it all on my own and use my own resources, my own money. Didn't really have much. So it was just like a combination of the two. So just grit, hard work, pride, and not wanting to say no and give up.
Thanks for sharing that. All right, Cam, you started in the restoration industry fresh out of high school in 2021 as a technician, I understand. Then 5 years later, you were a project manager. And now, as you noted, you're director of operations at 29. You've built expertise in large loss and company safety, among other things. So please tell us your keys to your climb.
Well, the key to my climb was, I've always haven't been afraid to work. Ever since I came out of high school, it was one of those things in this business that it's 24/7, doesn't stop. I've also been very lucky that I've worked with a lot of great people within the company that I worked for. I've grown from their experience and what they've taught me. So that's really been the key to my success, is just tagging on to someone and listening and just getting as much out of everything from them to grow to where I am today.
Awesome. Okay, Andrea. So you started as a warehouse contents cleaning and post-construction cleanup technician. Within 3 months, you were leading crews for fire and smoke mitigation. And today you're a key member of leadership for your company's emergency service department, as you alluded to. What grit went into your impressive growth?
Oh man, long hours. And when I started off in restoration, I had barely 40 hours a week. I was in a dark little warehouse cleaning contents day in and day out. But when we got hit with the first catastrophic event, I was quick to volunteer, like, get me out of the warehouse quick. And I could not get enough of it. I saw holes. I was like, ooh, I could help there. Ooh, I can help there too. And ooh, they need help. I want to help them too. Just sponged everything I could and just kept putting in the hours as far as getting to know my crew, getting to know my business, getting to know every department, and then learning as much as I could.
Thank you. All right, Tiffany, and you joined the industry, as you said, right out of college as a residential marketing representative. Now you are director of commercial marketing, which is a big deal. And over the last 4.5 years, you helped grow your company's commercial book of business from doing mostly residential work to mostly commercial. So what are your secrets to success?
Yeah, I would have to say the number one secret for me was to build my confidence, honestly. And the number two secret was I had to learn to not be afraid to get turned down, get told no. And to help with that, the confidence side, I really just built my sales skills from my sales scripts, my hunting skills, account management skills over the years. And by doing this, it allowed me to go after those C-level executives, the right decision makers, as well as those challenging RFPs. So that really helped build that commercial book of business. And, I also had to make sure my prospects have confidence not only in me, but our team to handle any size loss. So to help with that, I really utilized my resources, which was my team. I knew during my discovery meetings, prospects were looking more operationally. I would bring in some of my operational team members. If I discovered they had more communication issues or account management issues, I knew that was something for me to answer. So really, that's how I built that book of business.
Very good. I think there's no shortage of notes to be taken on your different experiences and what you've gained and how you climbed the ladder of success. So, and then the other cool thing that I've said many times is that you all represent different areas and different departments, for lack of a better term, in the restoration industry. So that's cool. All right. So next theme here, of course, labor. We cannot ignore that it's a top challenge for the restoration industry and many industries today, for that matter. R&R's 2021 State of the Industry report finds that skilled workers, increasing wages, and retaining labor are literally the first, second, and third on the list of biggest challenges for the next year. So Cam, I'm curious. As you mentioned earlier, you started fresh out of high school as a technician, and here you are today, director of operations before 30, which is huge. I'm curious your take on the kind of education and training needed to excel in this industry based on that. What foundational training and skill sets do you think are important for those joining this industry, based especially on you being straight out of high school and finding such success?
So the biggest thing is to be able to use small tools. get an understanding of being able to operate a Sawzall or use a drill. That's going to go a long way. Even if you're in high school and you take a shop class, that's going to help you. A lot of times, though, when I came right out, it's on the job training. There's no better training than being on the job. And that's where you're going to pick up most of it. But it's good to have a little background of being able to use a tool, or, have a little bit of an understanding of how homes are built or businesses are built, so that it's only going to help you.
Great advice. Okay, Nicole, I know you hire for culture and train for skill, which is super interesting. So what does that mean to you, and how has that approach served you in attracting and retaining talent?
So we developed a hiring process where the first interview is a phone interview. So we have like 3 or 4 questions that just kind of like make sure the one person's not just looking to apply to get unemployment. Just ask like, what do you know? Why do you want to work here? And basically just get in the vibe of like, hey, do they sound like a nice person? Do they use the proper mannerisms? Are they kind to a person they don't even know? You know what I mean? So a lot of times like people are just trying to get to the interview, so they're like rude to the first person on the phone and trying to rush the process. So we've weeded out a lot of people just in that. And then we have a first interview with 2 members of our team. So generally our first interview team is like my sales manager and my office manager. 2 different personalities. My sales manager is very detail oriented. My office manager is very vibe. She like picks up on just people's mannerisms and vibes, and so their combo is a great. And then if you make it past them, it's our second team, and that's our construction project coordinator and my emergency services manager. Again, 2 different personalities. One's more methodical and just listens to what they're saying, like picks up on people lying, like he's weirdly like psychic. And then the other one is she came from the police department, so she picks up on just body language really well. And all of the questions, we're not really looking for skills. I mean, yeah, there's some skill questions involved, but it's very culture, honesty, integrity. Who are you as a person? Then if they make it past that, then it's a third interview with me plus another person. And there's been people who didn't make it past me. And so having that like very strong process has allowed us to have people who are committed. Like everybody that made it through the 3 interviews are like, holy crap, that was extreme, but we are so grateful for it because it allowed us to also see if we want to be part of the company. And so because of that interview process, we've really have some phenomenal employees. We have the best people that we've ever had at Bravo right here, right now. And everybody's on the right seats of the bus. And so it's pretty awesome.
Definitely awesome. I love the different layers there of, vetting different people, more than one round of interviews with different personalities. And of course, just looking at the soft side of things and not just the technical skills. A lot to be learned about that. Okay, so Tiffany, you're a mentor at your company and you help guide incoming employees, and you serve on a board within your organization that focuses on employee engagement. All important stuff. So can you share more about those efforts and their impact?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a great program our upper management team came up with. And for the mentor program, when new employees are hired into the company, the executive team assigns them to a more veteran employee. So as a mentor, we are there to answer any questions they have along the way, listen to their needs or struggles they may be facing in their role and in the industry as a whole. And then we can help provide advice and encouragement for them in their new role. So it's been really successful, and I bet they're going to continue to do it. And then as for the employee engagement team, we actually have one person represented from each department, and we meet monthly. We talk about challenges in each department and how we as leaders in our department can help divert any negative conversations and help with the more positive and fact-based solutions within each department. And then we also talk within our department. So we go back, we talk what we talked about in our engagement team meeting, and then we help execute those needs for the other departments.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Andrea, you play a key role in training for your in-house production team and the emergency service field team. I know you're super passionate about that too. So how do you ensure training leads to employee growth, engagement, and retention?
Right. So when I started in the training, it was nothing that it was wrong, but the company had a very one lane training program as far as hiring people that would adapt to the culture and and the can-do willing attitudes are great, but not everybody learned the same. As far as it's really hard for some people to read off of a check sheet, what to do, like do this, do this, do this. There's they like to see it visually. Other people, they do really well with that kind of instruction. So it was more adopting a training program that was built for the individual, not the individual built for the training program. So with our modular trainings, we can cover all different kinds of ways of training individuals that are really great workers that really want to do a great job for you, and maybe they just don't read as great, or maybe they just need to see it 6-7 times before they can actually just click into their mode. So having that in mind, we did build our training around each individual on how they grow and how they learn, and man, they can definitely see the difference. We've had nothing but great feedback from everyone going, thank you so much for doing that. Sorry to be a pest. And it's like, you're never a pest. This is a growing opportunity for everyone. And we're able to get that pattern and make those fixes.
Very good. I love how you tailor the approach to the individual. And to your point, I'm not surprised that it leads to success. Okay, so new theme. Let's talk tough times, often the most defining moments for us all professionally and personally. So I have the same question for all of you this time. What is the biggest career challenge you faced so far? If you conquered it, how? How'd you overcome it? And if you didn't conquer it, what did you learn from that experience? Let's go back to Andrea this time. Take it from here.
All right. So definitely to this day, my most career challenging moment was my transition from being a field tech to a management position. Obviously, there's so many different challenges in that. One, the greatest is my team, as far as some of them were super supportive and excited for me, and others were not as supportive and excited. Angry, jealous, wondering how I did what I did and what I had to do that. And did I sell them out? Why is this happening? Why are you moving? And there's just a lot of different keys involved, but really hanging on to my support team was huge. Just keep working hard, showing that I cared, as far as like the reason I'm here is because I want to make a difference for you. And just continuing that growth, that grit, that let me show you, let me help you attitude of I'm not above you. I'm here to help you more. I'm in a position now where I can address your individual needs now. So let me help you. And that approach worked really well to help that transition.
Good to know you found success in that approach, because great point. Growth comes with the dynamics of fellow colleagues and jealousy and all of that. All right, Tiffany, your most challenging experience thus far?
Yeah, I would have to say I've had a couple, but two that stick out the most are, I had to learn that I'm going to lose. But I also had to learn, like, I can't let it defeat myself. I can't let it define, who I am. I can't continue to beat myself up about it. I just had to learn from it and move forward. And another defining moment for me in my career was I had to learn that I'm not going to get recognized all the time for the work that I do, but that doesn't mean I'm not doing good work. I had to tell myself my work matters, my efforts matter, and I know I'm making a positive impact on communities and businesses. So I would say those are the two that are, that really stick out for my career.
Very good. All right, Cam, challenging moment or experience?
One of the big challenging things for me in the beginning was when you move into the management side of things, it's a lot more documentation than it was when you were out in the field. So in the beginning, when I first became a manager, my documentation and things wasn't always that great, and then as you get into bigger jobs and more complex jobs, you need to make sure that your documentation is spot on. And if you don't document things well, you're not going to get paid for it, especially in the insurance industry. So that was my biggest thing coming up, and the challenge of just making sure that everything was being documented properly.
Thank you. Nicole?
I guess my biggest challenge would be just the transition of going from a coworker, an employee, to a business owner. Even after 5 years, I still have the mindset of an employee. Like, I feel awkward when I walk in at 8:10 and like, oh my God, I'm late. But in reality, I did just work till 8 o'clock last night. Or I just, over the weekend, I'm the one who gets a phone call if all hell breaks loose. Or, hey, if we get sued, I'm the one that my house can get lost. And I'm the one who go to jail if we do something shady or unethical, if one of my employees do that. So I'm still dealing with this transition mindset of just like, I want to take care of all my employees. I'm so afraid that they think I'm not doing it, my job. And then also recognizing like how many sacrifices I've made for my business. I sacrificed my kids, my husband, my self-care. And so just, separating it and then not getting my feelings hurt when like an employee leaves and or like I find out that they're like talking bad about me or anything like that. And I'm like, wait, again, I am the boss. Like we're still have old school mentality. Like it's okay that I'm not liked by everybody. I'm doing my best. And sometimes that expectation of like we're supposed to know it all and we're supposed to, all that pressure as a CEO, just it's really overwhelming sometimes. And so I think it's like a continuous challenge. And so one of the things I'm doing to overcome it is I'm joining an entrepreneurship organization so I can talk to other CEOs and have the opinion, like surround myself with people who are going through the same thing instead of I surround myself with employees. Like my husband's an employee, my staff are employees. I'm not really around other business owners, and I think that has part of the problem too.
Wow, thanks, Nicole. Powerful share. There's a lot to think about there. And thanks for sharing also not only how you're overcoming it, but that it still exists. It wasn't a challenge you faced in the first year and goodbye. It's ongoing when you transition from employee to official leader of a company. Okay, switching gears here now, tools. And it's the same question for you all again. What tools and or technology can you not imagine succeeding without and why? Tiffany?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, job notes, meeting notes, photos, documentation, as Cam was saying, are the most important thing for me and for sales and account management. So Solitaire, Salesforce, Luxar, my CRM systems are a must have. Having that information easily accessible for my clients and myself is just really important to be successful in giving them the information that they need.
Thank you. Andrea?
I could not live without my mobile calendar at all. It dictates my every move in my personal life and my professional one. So I utilize Outlook daily, every hour. I love it. I also cannot do without a great measuring tape, my Bosch measuring tape. If you don't have one, get one. They're amazing. And I'm kind of old school where I am a note taker as far as I can't always have readily available technology or tap screen. So I am a big pen and paper person. Cringe, I know, but I absolutely love it. I have notebooks, upon notebooks that I just take and transfer into notes later into my Outlook program, which is great.
Thanks for sharing those. All right, Nicole, tools, tech that you can't live without?
Obviously our phones. I mean, can't live without those. I use Dash, so having that Dash app, Gmail, the Google Docs, Google Sheets. I'm really big about like how to be as efficient as possible. How do I like not do things twice? So Andrea, I totally agree with that whole note taking thing, but I'm like, okay, that's not a solution because now you have to enter it twice. And so like buying like the technology, I have a remarkable notepad so I can actually email myself those notes because I do still like that pen and paper feeling. And just having literally, I can work from my phone, and that's a huge time saver for me. So I couldn't imagine doing this without that.
Thanks. Cam?
For me, it's, we do everything on iPad now. So all of our notes get put into Notability. We can scope jobs and be able to do sketches and everything right off the iPads. That's huge. And another big thing for me is the infrared technology, infrared cameras. I don't know what we would have done, 10 years ago, when we used to have to walk in with a moisture meter and try and figure out what's wet. Now we can come through with an infrared camera and get a pretty good idea pretty quickly. So for me, it's those two things that are really important.
Very good. Okay, new layer here, still focusing on technology. It is another top challenge among restoration contractors, number 5 on R&R's State of the Industry report for 2021, and that is just adopting it. It's hard. So as a follow-up to that previous question, how would you like to see technology utilized by restoration contractors into the future? Tiffany?
So I'm going to go back to, being a good account manager. So I just think it's vital for companies to utilize the technology they have for notes and documentations. Like I said, for me in my position, my clients and partners are asking me all the time, what's going on? Do you have these photos? I need this photo report. So, if I can't click a button and that information's not there, then I am not being the most valuable partner to my partners. So I just think companies need to utilize their systems that they have now, or and if they don't have any, looking to invest in some.
Okay. Andrea?
Oh man, technology is just the way of the future. As far as our company had adopted the Matterport program for sketching and capturing images. I mean, there's just so much going on with technology, and it's just never going to stop growing. So if there are programs, I agree with Tiffany, that you need to be using, you need to utilize them now, because even in the insurance world, it's going more and more digitalized, less and less people, more and more program-based jobs coming in. So adopting the programs that you need to adapt to their changes is going to be huge for your company.
Thank you. Nicole?
I agree with everybody. As a business owner, use the stuff your company has. I don't believe that all the technology, all the things that we have are being utilized to its full potential. Like anytime people complain about Dash, I always think like, are you really utilizing it to its full potential? Because I know I don't. And I've had Garrett reach out to me, be like, hey, Nicole, you are actually using it more than most of our people. You use it the best. And I'm like, how's that possible? Because I'm not even utilizing it to my full potential. So utilizing the tools that you have and also being open to new technology coming through. I mean, like to get people to my technicians to do T-sheets and Dash took about 2 years. No joke. It was like the longest like transition. And I made fun games out of it and did bonuses. And once I like took the gamification aspect and put it in there, I saw that the utilization was improved dramatically. So business owners or business leaders, if you're trying to adopt a new technology, gamify it, because that's what everybody likes to do. And that definitely helps.
Thank you. Cam?
So for me, technology it's here. It's not going anywhere. So you can't be, one to fight it. You can't fight technology. It's just going to keep getting better and better. So don't be afraid to, if something new comes out, try it, use it. It might help you more than something you were doing before. So that's my thing when it comes to technology, is just don't fight it, let it come to you and use it the best you can.
Great advice, everyone. Okay, so different topic here. Same question for everybody again. Is leading young professionals in an industry that's no secret swarming with seasoned veterans? I really am curious about imposter syndrome, which it's something an estimated 70% of people experience at some point. And for those who may be unfamiliar, this is the idea that you've only succeeded due to luck and not because of your talent or qualifications. Like your colleagues are going to discover you're a fraud and don't actually deserve your job or accomplishment. So have any of you experienced imposter syndrome? And if so, how did you get past it, or how did you struggle with it? Yeah, whoever wants to speak to this, jump in.
Oh, I feel it right now. I am always feeling that. I'm the most chronic. I didn't even know it had a name until, about a few months ago, actually. I was kind of talking about it and someone said, oh, imposter syndrome. I was like, you mean other people feel this way? Because every step of the way, as far as when I've climbed the ladder from being an entry-level tech to what I do today, I felt, man, I'm just so lucky that I'm here. As far as I have to sometimes sit down and reflect that, no, I read all those books and I did all that work and I took all those classes and I've done all these things. I put in all these hours. Like, no, I think I earned it today. But at first, it's that first kind of get-go. We're like, man, I'm so lucky to have what I have. And so there's no like magic button for that to go away. If there is, please share. But ultimately, it is just listening to that power music or reading that passage out of the book that kind of made you feel good. Just mark it in that book and remember to read it and feel good about what you're doing every day.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I would have to agree with that. I think it's like, especially women, I think feel it more than men do. Sorry, Cam. We have like, so sorry. We have this like, we're already feel like people around us are judging us like, oh, you're lucky. Like I got the like, oh, you must have like done something or like, how did you get here? Like, there's no way your skills or hard work could have done it. You must have been given it. I automatically get assumed that my husband works for or owns the company and I'm just a wife, or my father gave me the company. God forbid I could have worked for it myself. And so when you have outside influences also pushing that down on you, it's like, oh, maybe they're right. Like maybe I am just lucky and I just was in the right place in the right time. And then like that same thing applies to like as a mom, like when people are like, oh, how do you do it all? You must like, you're lucky, or like whatever. I'm like, oh my God, I am lucky because I have no idea how to do it all. So yeah, I think it's just a thing that we're just gonna always have. And
Thank you, Nicole.
No, I agree with Nicole. And, and I would say for me, it was like not feeling confident enough to go into a meeting, not feeling like I'm smart enough to answer questions or knowledgeable enough to hold that meeting with some of these C-level and high-level executives, really. And so I overcame that, honestly, by realizing I am not going to have every answer in this ever-changing industry of ours. So I just had to really realize that and just, tell them, hey, I don't have that answer for you, but I'm going to find somebody who does, and I'll get back with you. So, that really helped me overcome it. It's just realizing I'm not going to have every answer. And once that came through me, I was just like, just roll with it.
That's great.
For,
Cam,
for
want to
me,
round it out?
for me, sure. For me, it was when you're first coming up and you're underneath someone as a project manager and they teach you how to do things. Sometimes you get stuck underneath them and you try to take, what they taught you and you try to emulate them. When you end up, just be yourself. Be yourself as a project manager. You be the leader. Don't rely on things that they did, because people are going to look at you differently. Be yourself.
Love it. So many takeaways arranged in all of that, and also how you all deal with it, cope with it, and help bring yourself back to confidence. But yeah, we're all only human. So this, listeners, viewers, see, you're not alone if you thought you were. All right. So looking ahead, the future of this industry is in your hands, along with fellow millennials and, of course, Gen Zers. So as the future of restoration, what would you like to see change about the industry? In what key ways would you like to see it evolve? Let's start with Nicole on this one.
I'd like to see us put more expectations on our field technicians, and not like expectations where we want them to do more, but maybe even put more like pride in, like, all of us would not have a job without the field technicians, but yet why do they make the least amount of money in the companies? And that to me is such a trip, that like we have such, like, we do have high expectations on them, but maybe like treating them with more respect and putting them on that higher level. I don't know. I just feel like there's not enough respect and pride for that position. And everyone's like so quick to like, how do we get out of that technician? How do we move up? But it's like, you're the reason why we're doing this. And you're the reason why we are all have jobs. And so I would love to see that more, just like conferences just for technicians, and like classes, and not more than this stupid IICRC classes. Like, that's just like, those classes are for people like me who are really good at taking tests. They're not for your day-to-day technicians. So it's like, they still are not helping them grow as individuals. And how do we give them more pride in what they do? Because what they do, they're like police officers and fire departments. Like, they're like the ones out there first and exposing themselves to so many various things. And so, yeah, I would like to see more respect for our technicians.
Okay, Cam.
For me, it's all about training. Kind of piggybacking on what Nicole's saying is, yeah, you could go to the IICRC courses and figure all this out, but for that technician, some of my guys don't even speak English. They speak mostly Spanish. So how can we get them to grow and become more of a leader in the company? Instead of just being that technician that goes out every day and scrubs the floor or cuts out a wall, what can we do to help them grow?
Okay, Tiffany, what would you like to see change, or how would you like to see the industry evolve?
I think the restoration industry is a very male dominant industry, and I think it still attracts men, and I think that's just because the history of the industry, the trades work of the industry, and also it's not the most glamorous industry, like, let's be honest, so I would love to see women continue to rise in this industry, continue to help it grow and change. Men and women have very different perspectives, and I think that diversity is so important in all industries. So really, and I mean, as you can see on this call, we have women rising up. So I love it. And I want to see it keep heading that way and keep that diversity within the industry.
Thanks so much, Tiffany. Andrea.
Oh man, yes, and yes. I agree with all of those things. One of the things that I would like to see more of is that as our materials and our technology is advancing, we're going to be really reliant on our new generation coming in to help us. As far as, it's really easy to have someone who's been in the restoration for 25 years that has 25-year-old idealisms about how things are done. And a lot of these newer employees coming in have this experience that you can't really teach to some people because it's just not even available. So I've actually been really enjoying incorporating newer hires and younger people into my training program, saying, hey, what do you know about aerographite? Tell me about your invisible solar cells that you learned from that trade school that you went to. So I've been really excited to see that part, as far as when you do have a new hire, like people who are training also take away a lot more from the new generations coming in.
Very cool points. Yes. It also makes me think about what you're talking about, Andrea, just technology in general. This whole digital natives thing. Gen Z is they're known as digital natives. They don't know life without any of that technology and mobile access. So it'll be cool to see in an industry that's struggling to adopt new technology as more Gen Zers come through, like how does that change and how fast? All right. So you, as we've said many times, and it has been clear throughout the interview, you all have unique roles from an industry and organizational perspective, which is making this roundtable so all the more valuable. And of course, you demonstrate the notion of leading from any chair, as people often they use that term. So, for others who sit in similar seats or share related responsibilities to yours, respectively, what is your top tip, Cam?
For me, it's being honest with the customers. You know, if we're in pipe break season and we're getting 30, 40 calls a day and we're trying to figure out how we're going to get, you know, emergency crews to this job and that job, a lot of times just getting on the phone and saying, hey, listen, here's what I can do, here's when I can be there. At least you're trying to be honest with them, and you're going to get a lot more out of them. They're going to say, okay, yeah, no, you can get here, and that'll work. Also, it's always make sure that you have a plan and make sure that you know your way out, just in case, you know, because things are never going to be the same, you know, especially when you walk in on a Monday morning and you go, oh, geez, all this happened over the weekend. How am I going to be able to adapt to it? So you just always have to think in the back of your head, there's got to be a way out. There's always a way to move things around and make it work. And that's what I always try to do on a daily basis, is just make sure that I'm one or two steps ahead, just in case, you know, something happens that changes our whole entire day.
That's great. Thanks, Cam. That's perspective on leading operations. Just if anyone's forgotten and gotten lost in this amazing interview, yeah, that's where Cam is coming from, but that applies to any role, I'm sure. Nicole, any advice on owning and serving as a CEO of a restoration company?
Well, if you think about it, our job as a CEO is providing the energy for the company and driving revenue. So both of those things can be fun, and you can do a lot with it. And so an engagement with your staff is number one priority. So I hold monthly company meetings at the end of the month, every single month. And we talk about the good, bad, the ugly. We talk about every department. I use this as a training tool. I literally have the little 7 habits on the go little book, and we do trainings on each habit. I'm honest about our numbers, honest about our sales. I mean, where we're going, there's full transparency with everything. And so I really think that as CEOs, you can't just think like, oh, okay, well, now, you know, I could just sit back in the office and my managers will run the company. It really doesn't work that way. You still have to walk around, say good morning to everybody. You have to know everybody's name. Like I have a Google sheet of every single staff member, their spouse's name, their kid's name, their sizes. They're like all this stuff, because like every Christmas I buy their kids Christmas gifts that they would like. If they're a girl who's 9 years old, I'm gonna Google what girls like, because I don't have girls. But you know, I try to like, you know, make them special too, and their spouses and everything. So I think CEOs, if now that you're not having to do day to day, even though most of us are probably, having that extra aspect and really caring about your employees, and there's no expectation you have to know it all. Like that's why I told you I have a Google Sheets cheat sheet, because I can't remember everything. So there's my tip.
Okay, so Andrea, I'm curious about from your perspective of leading field teams and even serving as a technician, any tips there for people in those roles?
Yes. So this tip I wish I could have applied to myself years ago, but do not get hung up on perfection. As far as, if it'll hold you down, it'll isolate you, it'll make you feel like you're failing. If one thing goes wrong, you got to let it go. You can't sit there and try to make it right over and over. And then in doing so, you start lacking in other areas. And then all of a sudden you're in this tunnel of failure, ultimately. Allowing things to not be perfect and to kind of keep pushing through that. As far as restoration as a whole is not perfect. It'll never be perfect. We're there when they don't really want us, but they need us, and they're never planned. I mean, as far as nobody ever plans to have a wildfire whip through their yard or their pipe burst on their washer. So in an imperfect world, like, you cannot be hung up on the perfection of every detail.
Very helpful. Yeah, we so often hear about how paralyzing it can be to be stuck on perfection, and then you don't get anything done, to your point of ultimate failure, trying to be perfect. Tiffany, your take from a marketing and sales perspective, any tips for others who share those kinds of roles in the restoration industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So, tips for sales is do your research, make a list of your prospects, include your 5 big whales that you want to go after, and develop a strategy. You cannot get a yes until you try. So don't be afraid, build your confidence, and then, keep hunting. And then as for account management, know what your partners want, know what they need, create a standard operating procedure for them so that everybody in the company knows what that client wants and needs. So there's no shock or upsets, and then stay in touch with your clients during jobs, follow up before and after the job, and just really make them a priority. They are your bread and butter. That's, we have jobs because we have partners and clients.
Very good. All right. We have asked a bunch of questions about the work itself, but I'm curious about the relationship aspect. We all know how important it is to build relationships with industry peers, from competitors to mentors to the insurance side to consultants to industry associations. The list goes on. What relationships have been most important for your success, and how did you build those? This question's open to whoever wants to answer it.
I would say for me, the most important relationships for my success are the people I learn from every day, which are my partners, my peers, and just the industry and my competitors are out there. So, really those are my relationships that I've learned from.
I would say my most important relationships was going to conferences. Everybody should be going to conferences, no matter what your position is, and meeting other people in the industry. Sometimes we get caught up in our own little space and we think it's just us and our industry and our company, and our blinders are on. And so it's really nice to like get out and see how everybody else is doing, take a couple nuggets, like Tiffany's little mentorship that she does. We've implemented that because it was amazing idea, but I would have never heard that if we didn't go to a conference and I didn't get to meet her and hear from her. And so those are the most important relationships for my business, is the other industry leaders and other industry people.
All right. Anybody else, Andrea, Cam, on the idea of building relationships? Which ones matter? How you've done it?
Oh yeah, like my lucky, I've been able to connect with a lot of field people as far as customers and connections in the field. And it's been extremely valuable to get to know my community as a whole. Every time we have a school or a church or a business that needs our help, it's really nice to have that relationship built with that person, because the best marketing I've ever had for my particular position is word of mouth, especially around the community. So building those relationships, maintaining that good rapport, and them saying, I have just the person to help you, my, customer or church member. They helped me. I want them to help you. Here's their card. Here's their number. Keeping in close touch with those connections are really valuable.
Oh my gosh. Yes. 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 To the idea of the people who have been or could unfortunately end up being the people that need your services. Love that, Andrea. Anything else to add, Cam?
So for me, it's people in our company that I work with every day is always, it's great to be able to bounce things off of them. A big thing for me is adjusters and consultants. It's great when you're able to walk onto a job and that adjuster already knows who you are. They know what you're going to do. It makes life so much easier. Same thing with a consultant. If you walk onto a job, this consultant, you already agree to the scope, or they know how we do things. It makes you feel a lot more confident in being able to do a job when water's pouring on your head, knowing that you already have some sort of a relationship with them.
Thank you. All right. Now, obviously, you all didn't get here by accident. You all do a great job of avoiding complacency in your roles. So I'm curious, what key resources do you turn to help spur growth? Let's start with you, Tiffany.
So I've taken some sales training courses, which have included, Dale Carnegie, Sandler training. I've read some great books, which is, No Ego by Cy Wakeman, Dare to Lead by Renee Brown, Measure What Matters, Influence. So I just think continue to learn and how to better yourself personally and professionally are just, for me, are key ways of avoiding complacency.
Thank you. Andrea?
I also really enjoy my courses. I know that it's not the most popular, but as far as course manuals, I love them. As far as mine are all beat up and they look like they've been through the shredder a couple times because I never remember everything from courses. You'll take a 2-day or 5-day course, and the likelihood of you remembering 100% of all of that is almost unlikely. So I like to keep the manuals. I like to read them and reference them. I also love reading books from James Clear and Gino Wickman for What the Heck is EOS? I love that book. Been through that one a few times, got some notes in it.
Thanks, Andrea. Cam?
For me, it's not so much like books and manuals and things like that. It's more of, what's that next thing that's going to come through the door? That's how I kind of avoid complacency of like, what's going to be the next challenge and what's going to be the next job? Like, what am I going to have to do in order to satisfy this customer? That's kind of where I get my, drive and, just would go get.
Awesome. Yeah, and that goes back to your point earlier about like really learning by doing and just being in the field and facing it as it comes and being prepared for what's going to be next. So love that. All right, Nicole.
I of course enjoy trainings and reading books and all of that, but the thing that like gets me like out of a funk is when I get to be creative. And so if any of you follow us on social media, I have this thing about I create different shirts, and I'm actually going to create my next shirt is going to be so this whole processing or this whole COVID period, we only had one positive case of COVID, but we had 3 pregnancies. So my next shirt is going to be like, we didn't catch COVID, we caught pregnancies.
I love it.
But I just like that. Those are the things that like if I could be fun and do different things, that then the day-to-day, I can't do day-to-day operations. So that's what keeps me from being complacent.
Love it. All right, now let's talk practical advice. Granted, it's been sprinkled throughout this interview already. But instead of talking about your advice to others looking to join the restoration industry in advance, like you have, I want to ask, what single piece of advice would you have given your younger self at the start of your career, knowing what you know now? Let's start with Andrea this time.
All right. It's so important to find balance between your work and personal life. It is definitely difficult to do, especially when you're starting out in the field like I did, where on-call rotations can be, I don't know, I blacked out. Okay, so because there's so many hours and there's so much to do and there's so much expectation, you can just see your community needs it. So it was before I knew it, my daughter had turned 3 and I was like, oh man, I did not balance this very well. As far as if I could go back and tell myself like, hey, it's okay, give yourself a little bit of a pace, go ahead and balance, time block, make time for things.
Very helpful advice. All right, Nicole.
I'm going to answer the same way as I did in the panel. I would not give myself any advice because I do not want to change the course that I'm at. And I'm here where I am because of everything I've done. So if there was something I said to my younger self that screwed this up, I would be pretty upset. So I'm going to have to back out of that question.
Great answer. I love it. At the end of the day, we're all who we are here now today because of all the struggles that we faced, the beauty and yes, the pain. Thanks, Nicole. All right, Tiffany.
Yeah, I would say don't give up if you fail. Don't give up just because something gets hard. Don't give up because you weren't praised enough. Listen more, talk less. Ask questions and ask more questions. Not everyone has good intentions, so weed those people out of your circle. And if you can't, for whatever reason, learn how to navigate them. No, truth always wins. The work is out there, so go find it and make that money.
Thanks, Tiffany. Cam, advice to younger self?
I kind of have to agree with Nicole. It's not like I've really, look back and say, hey, I really screwed up on this, or no, I've enjoyed every step of the way since I got into this industry. It's, hey, you did it. You got up at 2:00 in the morning, or hey, you worked till 10:00 last night, or it's a new thing every day. So I don't think I would really say like, or have any regrets or advice for my younger self, just keep on going. Do what you're doing. You're doing good.
Nice. We have a perfect balance of responses to that practical advice and also practical advice on, hey, just live your life and learn from what you go through. Okay, believe it or not, we have arrived at the final question. So I want to ask, as young professionals, what key things motivate you professionally that you seek and expect from your place of work? Of course, this is an important question as we look to attract and retain more young peeps, more millennials, but especially Gen Zers. So yeah, it'll help to know how you guys feel about what motivates you in the workplace. Let's start here with Tiffany.
Yeah, so there are several things, I look for. Obviously, fair and accurate compensation for the role that I'm in. I think, that's definitely number one. Recognition for a job well done. Like, who doesn't like to get recognized for work every now and then? Flexibility in the workplace, being a mother to a toddler, flexibility is huge for me at this stage of my life. Good health insurance and 401k. So, those are some of the things I look for my employer.
Thanks, Tiffany.
Mhm.
Cam?
For me, it's, make sure you get paid what you're worth. If you know what you're doing and you take advantage of that, make sure you get paid for what you're putting into. Don't be afraid to go and ask for what you think you're worth. Also is just make sure, like Tiffany said, make sure the people take, if you do a good job, hey, you did a good job, there's nothing wrong with that. Keep your head up. Or hey, you make a mistake. Hey, listen, mistakes happen. Let's just not practice. Just have a company that's behind you all the time. And that's, what I have right here at Service Master right now. So we'll see how it keeps. Hopefully it stays that way.
That's great. Thank you, Cam. Andrea?
I like to see for myself, especially, I want to know where I'm growing and how what I'm doing is evolving and going along with the flow the way it needs to. So I need a growth plan. I need to feel relevant and not anonymous as far as, and doing so, I want everyone to feel that way. Where are you? How are you doing? And where do you want to go? And here's your growth plan, and actually hitting those milestones that are needed to keep that person happy and make them feel that they are making a difference.
Thank you. Nicole?
Well, I would say I would want all my staff to let me know those things. And if they were not getting those things, I expect because I'm so trustworthy, I'm so transparent, I expect my staff to be transparent with me too. And so we have, weekly one-to-ones and just making sure we're all on the same page. And so that motivates me. If you're happy, I'm happy.
Love it. That was the perfect bow tie as you rounded it out from the other side. Okay, I'm actually really sad to say that ends our Future Leaders Roundtable virtual encore, because knowing we were going to reconnect after the panel in person at the experience kept me excited. So we'll just have to do this again at some point in some way with some new questions. But thank you so much for all joining me and sharing your super valued perspectives. There's so much in here to take away. It's one of those things you're going to want to listen to a few times or watch a few times, I think. Before we go, I have the same question for all of you. I'll start with Cam. Where can our listeners go to connect with you or to learn more about your organizations, whether it's your website, LinkedIn, something else? Cam?
So you can definitely go to our website, servicemasterbygilmore.com. You can also, if you have any questions for me, you can certainly email me at any time. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Unfortunately, we're busy just like everyone else is. So, I might not get back to you right away, but I'll make sure I, put some time aside and try and answer whatever I can.
Thanks, Cam. Tiffany?
Yeah, so LinkedIn, you can, I'm available on LinkedIn. You can call First Onsite Pensacola office and they can get a hold of me there, or my cell number, 850-530-1334.
Perfect. Thanks, Tiffany. Nicole?
I don't do LinkedIn because I just don't, but you can get a hold of me on Facebook, Instagram, and then obviously our website, bravorestoration.com. Our Instagram is at bravo_restoration. My Instagram is at Nicole_Humber. Look us up and yeah.
Perfecto. All right. Last but not least, Andrea, how can people keep in touch with you or learn more about your company?
Yeah, absolutely. So Paul Davis at Paul Davis Restoration of Portland and Vancouver. Just Google us, we pop right up. I'm also on LinkedIn, and any of those ways I will get back to you probably within 24 hours.
Thank you guys so much. All right, listeners and viewers, you can learn more about Nicole, Andrea, Tiffany, and Cam on our website, randrmagonline.com. Please keep your eyes open and your ears peeled for nominations to reopen for next year's Ladder Award in mid-2022. And for more insights on restoration, remediation, and the people behind it all, please follow us on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify. If you haven't yet, be sure to give the podcast a quick review and rating. We're also on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, so we invite you to follow us there too. This has been a special episode of R&R's Ask the Expert. Thank you as always for listening.